Welcome back, y'all, to MaineStreamCurrent. I'm your host, Drew Hoagland, and I wanted to make this a special episode. I am only 2 episodes deep into the new rebranding / coming back after 6 months, and after I reviewed some of my previous videos, I realized that I never had an introductory video about myself, and that's something that I want to have that's different than mainstream media. Here on MaineStreamCurrent, I want you to know who I am as your host. Not intimate details, but I want you to understand where I'm coming from so you can better understand where my worldviews lie and how I got there. And then hopefully it can help you understand maybe where certain biases are, but also just to make it so that you know that I am a human also. This YouTube channel is a thing I do for fun. I have a full-time job. I just got out of work. I'm still in my work clothes, but I have some people on my side that are looking for more videos, that are encouraging me to do this. So I want to get back to it. Before I get back into the news and what's relevant, I wanted to have a video, as I just explained, where I talk a little bit about myself. So I guess I'll start from the beginning. I was born here in Central Maine. I grew up in Central Maine, in the rivers, in the ponds, in the ocean, in the mountains. I loved being outside. I was constantly outside. I was a Boy Scout, and further into, I became an Eagle Scout. I was homeschooled for high school, and during that time, that gave me a lot of my own self-education. I had books and I had curriculum that I needed to get through, but I could do it in my own way. I could go outside and study, and looking back, it was not I did not want to do it at the time. I hated the idea of it, and it took me a long time to come around and realize that, yeah, for what it was really good. And I had a lot more control over my own education and got to dig in and learn things more thoroughly than some of my public school compatriots. So in high school, I was in Boy Scouts, later became an Eagle Scout, and I also got to start traveling the US and then the world. When I was 12, my mom and I drove from Maine to Washington, and that was the first time that I had really seen the US like I was going to in my adult life. It was a really awesome time. It only lasted 4 or 5 days. My mom hauled ass. I was way too young to drive. Cell phones were still new. You had to put the magnet up top, and you had to wait till the signal came in. And I remember stopping at a ghost town in Montana. That was really awesome. And then got to Seattle, dropped off the car that we were driving, and then we flew back to Maine. And then when I was 16, I babysat some 4 boys in Oklahoma while the parents worked full-time and part-time. So I spent the summer down there with them. During that time, we drove up to Montana and back again. So those were in my... Oh, and then when I was 17, turning 18, I saved money, and I saved money and I collected money from people that offered up for a mission trip, and I got to go on a mission trip to Peru. So I got to go into the Andes Mountains, up into Huancayo, and do some missionary work in the surrounding area. And then of course there were school trips between Maine and DC, or Maine and New York City. So those in my high school and younger years were definitely the formative aspects that later turned me into the world traveler that I turned out to be. So like I said, I wasn't thrilled about being homeschooled at the time, but after homeschool, I went to college. I have my Bachelor's of Science degree in religion. When I was finishing up my religion degree, I was at a new point in my life where I knew what I didn't want to do, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So my sister had just graduated high school. I graduated college, and we both ended up working at Cedar Point in Ohio. I was a lifeguard, and from there, I met people from all over the world, and during college, I knew a lot of people from all over the world, and I traveled to Brazil in college on another missionary trip up into the Amazon. But after this, I now had a degree. I was now a full adult, and I needed to get a job. I needed to start doing stuff. It was kind of at that point when I realized that I had never felt really in control of my life. So after traveling to Ohio, I started traveling all over. I was a lifeguard I was a whitewater rafting guide down in Tennessee for 4 summers. And I got that job because at the time in Maine, I Google searched cool summer jobs. And that was the first thing that popped up, the job that I accepted down in Tennessee. And I think I'm going to need to roll up my windows. Construction's coming. And I was down there for 4 summers, and it was fantastic. I had such an incredible time. Adventure and adrenaline. I got to skydive. I went cave diving. I did cave diving in high school as well. I've just led a very adventurous life, a very adrenaline-filled life, especially in my adult years. Back during college, I was also a camp counselor and a lifeguard, 2 different summers, actually 3 different summers, lifeguard, counselor, in an island in upstate New York that was affiliated with my college. And then I was a lifeguard at Cedar Point. After whitewater rafting and in between jobs, I was a server. I did waiting, serving tables. So that was my primary job. Although I had a bunch of different jobs in customer service, I would work for rallies, Harley-Davidson rallies, and I would work for 10 days, make some good money, take that money, travel on, go down to New Orleans with some friends, drive to Las Vegas. I was cross-country between Vegas and Tennessee and Vegas. By the time I went to Vegas in 2016, that's when Standing Rock was popping off. So I was compelled. Like, it felt like a magnetism that I was called to go to North Dakota. And even to this day, I don't fully understand it. And it was harsh. And the lessons were hard and difficult, and they came with tears and blood. But for all that, and for what changed for me afterwards, I can't regret my time there. I don't know that it had the effect that I wanted it to have. And it cost a lot. But as I'm explaining all that, I don't regret going, and I would do it again. My ideologies are different from those times, but everyone grows and changes, at least if you're a healthy, developing adult, because no one's opinions on everything are going to stay the same always. Certain things will stay the same, but a lot of things are probably going to adapt and change. And so I was there at Standing Rock in North Dakota from November of 2016 until February 2017, when I got arrested for obstruction of government function, although that was kind of a tactical farce on their part. I got tricked. And I can talk about more of these stories, and if you're interested, let me know if any of them pique your interest, because I'm sure that there are some. I don't want to dig in too much to any of them, because each story has other stories that would unwind with it. So I'm just trying to give you an overview of where I came from and kind of a little bit about my background. And so my ideology started to change, and I've now come a long way. I've gone from, during the time at Standing Rock, a group of us went from North Dakota to DC, drove North Dakota to DC to occupy Trump's inauguration. And if I can find these photos, because my phone got confiscated when I got arrested and then I never got it back. so I lost those photos. But I was one of them that actually strapped myself to security gate 13, I believe is the number, or 12. I think we were 12, I think there were 13 total. So I think we had strapped ourselves to security gate 12 to not allow or try to prevent different Trump supporters from getting into the inauguration. We did a damn good job. We did a damn good job. But my ideologies have changed. That being said, I wouldn't change my actions because I learned a lot from them, and it turned me into who I am now. So I can't personally go too harshly on that man because I know what he went through and what led him to that. I've also traveled to Korea, South Korea, and China. I spent 3 weeks over there, had incredible times, although I got terrified because I thought I was going to get kidnapped in China at one point. That was not ideal. Korea, the food and the people and the language, I would absolutely go back to South Korea again. And then I've spent time in Eastern Europe, over in the Balkans. Bulgaria, Serbia, Albania, Macedonia, Greece. I've traveled there twice, actually. And typically, if I've traveled somewhere, I don't want to go back because I want to travel somewhere new. And then I've been to Canada and Mexico. And so that's been my travels, my world travels. And because of so many cross-country trips that I did, I don't even know if I included all of them. I have seen all 48 of the continental U.S. I only have Alaska and Hawaii left to see, and then I've seen all of America. I'm only about 4 provinces off from seeing all of... No, okay, that's not true. That's not true. I've only seen about 4 provinces in Canada, actually. Eventually, it'd be cool to be able to say that I saw all of North America as well. And that's just something, I don't need to achieve it, but those are just, each of us have kind of ambitions, and I love to travel. So if I'm going to travel somewhere, I want to make it somewhere fun, somewhere new, somewhere I can experience the culture and food and different experiences. I love traveling, if you can't tell. And I love adventure. I jumped out of the sky at 18,000 feet. That was awesome. So my life was very adventurous, not very political at all. I did take an American government law class in high school, my senior year. And that's when I found out that I liked mock debates, that I liked debating in general. And it kind of opened my eyes to politics. When I was first able to vote, I did vote Mike Huckabee that first year. But then every year since then, I voted third-party candidate. I started off as a registered Republican because my family was. I switched to Democrat because at the end of college, that time frame is when I was in college, that was kind of the move. And then after that, a friend talked me into becoming independent. Eventually, I went back to Democrat because of Standing Rock. And now I'm back as a registered Republican for primary reasons. But as I've said in my past video, I don't vote party lines. I vote for the people behind the policies and the policies themselves. So people and policy above party line. So it doesn't matter what I'm registered as. I've dabbled in all of them. I've had a taste of all of them. I don't particularly like, and I don't love any of them. And it's hard to stomach certain aspects of all of them. That being said, those are the options that were presented, and for better or worse, you have to be registered. So I am a registered Republican. I'm also a gay American, and I know a lot of people find that controversial, like you're gay and you are conservative or more conservative-mindedly, because if I'm a Republican, then naturally I'm conservative. And I do admit I have some conservative policies. but I also have progressive policies. So what I found is when I'm talking to people politically, or even, well, mostly politically, that they don't know where to box me in. And I love that, because I'm not meant to be boxed. I'm not trying to be boxed. I vote for a plethora of reasons, and unless you're in my head, you're not going to fully understand all of the reasoning. And that's something between you and me. Like, I want to talk to you guys, the viewers, you, specifically you, as if you're in the car with me and we're just chilling out, or we're at the bar and we're smoking and drinking and having a good time, shooting the shit on the politics of the world and where we're at and where we've been and how we don't likely want to go where we're going. So that's what I want to present here, and that's the approach that I take. And I think that a lot of people are that way. And to just say, to group someone like, oh, because you're gay, because this, that, this, then you're here, or you're this, and that, so you're there. No. Just because I occupied Trump's inauguration doesn't mean that I wouldn't have occupied Hillary Clinton's. In all likelihood, I probably wouldn't have, only because she seemed like a much lesser evil at the time. And boy, was I naive. Boy, was I wrong. And that's one thing that I don't like, is that you have to vote by judging evils and lesser than evils. And that's why I always voted third party, was because I was trying to vote with my own ideals. I didn't want to be boxed into a corner. I wanted to be able to branch out and say, I'm voting based on my heart. I'm voting based on what I believe is right and wrong, all the way around. Not because I think that this is less wrong than this, or this person's less wrong than this person. But that is the box most of us have been put into. And unfortunately, this election, I don't think we're going to have the ability to vote based on our perfect utopia or our most favorite ideologies. We're going to have a more gritty time. But then we're going to be given 4 years to start promoting third-party candidates, independent runners. We can start propping them up quickly after this next election, and then we can start going from there and moving forward, because we need more unity. One thing I noticed is when I was traveling in my 20s, all that was pre-pandemic, I didn't start settling down in Maine. I didn't start settling down at all, and I didn't start settling down until I was in Maine, and I was 28. So that was 2018. I got a job working in the mountains as a server, but on a ski mountain. I worked there and lived there for 4 years throughout the pandemic, serving. I went back to school to get my associates, and I got that in paralegal studies. I've tried to get into law school. I would love to become an attorney. Financing law school is difficult, so I'm hung up there. But in the meantime, I've switched careers. I'm not in customer service anymore. I'm not in the public sector at all. I am now working privately in a private contracting company, and so totally different. I'm working with my hands, not my mind and my communication skills like I was, which is what drew me to YouTube, because before I always had an outlet. Now I have metal and some crusty coworkers to keep me company during the workday. So then I think about a lot of things, and I think about the state of the world, and I think about how things don't seem to be getting better, because I'm not sure that we have fully realized how fucked we are. And I was always taught by my parents, if you see something messy and it needs to be cleaned up, and you're looking around waiting for someone to clean it up, maybe that person you're waiting for is actually you. And then maybe by you starting to clean things up, other people will see your activity and they'll be more likely to be active. I'm not going to come back here again for a little bit because this construction is a little bit annoying. Windows closed is great, but now I'm in an oven and I was not anticipating that. This video is getting a little bit longer, so I do want to wrap it up. But at the same point, I wanted you to understand who I am and where I'm coming from, and to feel as if you know me more personally. And I hope I did a good job of that. I have lots more stories. I mean, each of those events was a 6 to 9 month period most of the time, except for the few times I worked at the Harley Davidson rallies. Those were about 10 days to maybe 21 days. But most of those events were all 6 months, 9 months, or longer, and there were plenty of stories. Just between exploring the jungle in Brazil, eating a home-cooked, incredible buried meal up in the Andes Mountains, drinking most delicious wine in the Balkans, trying to eat dog meat called kagogi in South Korea. I was hell-bent on trying it. And the people I was traveling with, the other 2 Americans, were all for it until they weren't. And then we all didn't do it because they didn't want to, and I was so bummed. I'm not really that angry, y'all. But that was my one time to try dog meat, and I totally would have. I ate guinea pig called cuy down in Peru as a birthday gift, as a birthday dinner. It wasn't any of our birthdays, we just ate it. Typically down there, you eat it on your birthday. Yeah, and then traveling all over America, seeing all kinds of incredible places. So if you have questions, go ahead and leave them down below. I would love to hear them. I'd love to address them in maybe a follow-up video where I answer some more, or maybe you want individual stories and I can just focus on one story and I can upload that separately at a different time of the week. I do want to get back to headlines. I am going to be. I was waiting for my new phone to come in, and I was waiting to get my nerve back, mostly. But after having filmed this video, I think that I'll be back in full swing shortly enough. So thank you all for hanging in there. Thank you for all the encouragement and the positive feedback, both online and in person. There are a lot of you that follow, that watch, that don't like, and haven't subscribed. I know some of who you are, so if you don't want me to call you out, go ahead. Just kidding. Only do that if you really want to, but I hope that I've earned your like and your subscription because I have put a lot of hard work. This is a fun thing for me, but it is a lot of work still. So if you feel that I've earned it, go ahead and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you can know when my next video is coming out, because I'm going to start dropping them quickly. All right, until next time, have a good one.